Welcome one and all to the Cine Geeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. I'm Angela, joined by my co-host Roy.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 115
Episode 115
of the Cine Geeks podcast.
Yes, and it's that time of the year again. Although medyo late na siya this year,
Yep.
but you know what they say, better late than never.
Uh-huh.
It's time for the 2025 Cine Geeks Cinemalaya Review Extravaganza Part 1.
Yes. So, kung nakasunod naman kayo sa podcast, alam nyo na taon-taon, tayo ay namamanata.
Yeah,
Mamanata.
tradisyon na ito.
Tradisyon yan.
Every year.
Every year na papanood natin lahat. And, the past years, natin siya parang medyo spaced out, kumbaga, na madami-dami yung mga, madami-dami yung episodes. Kasi parang, nung first year natin, tatlo, tas apat.
3, 3, 4, yes.
Tas last year, 2 each tayo. Kaya 5. Ngayon, medyo we're gonna shake things up a bit. Partially due to not keeping it, stale or boring. And also, due to necessity.
Yeah.
Yun.
We're doing 4-4-4 this year.
4. Hindi ka sure dun sa last. Kung 4 pa din. Pagdating sa episode na yun, sige, malalaman niyo kung bakit.
Yeah. Pero meron kaming gagawin this year na this year lang namin unang gagawin.
Oh.
Yeah, so surprise yan. Kailangan
Oh.
abangan nyo.
Parang kahit ako, di ko alam yun. Sige.
Alam mo yun, ano ka ba?
Okay.
In the interest of fairness, of course, para hindi namang sabihin in order of films yung, in no particular order. Hindi naman sa dislike o like namin yung mga una. Basta randomized yung groupings
yun.
nitong films na to.
Tama. So, hindi parang yung unang MMFF natin na parang from the worst to the best. Yung hatian
Parang
niya.
ginawang list no?
Yan. So, randomized yung groupings niya ngayon.
Yes. So for part 1 of our Cinemalaya Film Fest series, we'll be talking about the following films. First being Child Number 82, Anak ni Boy Kana by Timron Villanueva, starring J.M. Ibarra, Rochelle Pangilinan Solinap, and Vong Navarro. Second, Cinemartyrs by Sari Dalena, starring an ensemble cast led by Noor Hushmand. Third is Raging by Ryan Machado, starring Elijah Canlas. And last but not the least, Habang Nilalamon ng Hydra ang Kasaysayan by Dustin Celestino, starring Dolly De Leon, Jojit Lorenzo, Zanjo Marudo, and Mylene Dizon.
Yes. Very exciting list of films for this episode. But before we continue, we'd like to remind everyone who hasn't done so to follow our podcasts and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Kung yung ba dyan naka-podcast addict, yung mga ganun, only OGs know.
I just realized pala na we're on Audible din.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's up, Amazon people? Audible. Yay.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you can join in on the fun. Also visit our website at www.cinegeekspot.com for the latest in movie and TV news and reviews.
Yes, and send your questions, suggestions, violent reactions to our email address, cinegeekspot@gmail.com, or just go to our Facebook page. May nagbe-violent reaction doon. Pag nakita niyo, makita niyo agad.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. And if you want to, share with us, what you thought about certain films, kung meron kayong parang scoop, news, ganyan, na hindi pa namin napopost, join our Facebook group called the Cine Geeks Hub. There you can do that and interact with your fellow Cine Geeks as well.
Okay, ayan na. Simulan na natin to. Let's now talk about the first film for this episode, Child Number 82, Anak ni Boy Kana. At Awake, a persevering high school student must prove that he is the 82nd child of the Philippines' biggest action fantasy movie star in the hopes of seeing his late father one last time. Ooh, parang straight out of a talagang telenovela, very melodramatic
Simulan na
logline.
natin.
So,
Yeah.
Roy, ikaw. Simulan na natin to.
Go.
Okay. What did you think of Child Number 82? Anak ni Boy Kana.
Boy Kana.
Boy Kana.
si Irma Adlawan talaga, ibang klase.
Oo.
Pagkita sa naman doon, talagang NSS ako dun sa yung Boy Kana na kanta nila. Anyway, before the festival started, actually, nung ano pa lang, last year pa lang. Kasi 'di ba, hindi ko alam kung nung panahon nung parang tawag dito, yung awards night last year or parang shortly thereafter, lumabas yung listahan ng mga parang films.
During the awards night.
I think during the awards
they
night.
announced the
Title
titles.
pa lang. Oo.
Yes.
So, isa ito sa mga nakahuli ng aking interest. Child number 82. Ano kaya kwento na ito? Tapos, nung lumabas na yung more details like yung logline, etc. na parang nagkaroon pa ng subtitle. Child number 82, anak ni Boy Kana. Parang,
Ooh.
Huh?
Curious.
Mas naging parang more curiouser.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Oo. And then lumabas yung poster. Nung nag full marketing push na last few months ago, itong mga sine, parang, we're going there. Na para siyang...
Is it exactly what you thought it was gonna be?
Nung nakita ko yung poster na yun, naisip ko siya na parang, anak ni Boy Kana. Parang, hindi kaya. Naisip ko na parang, surely they won't go there. Naisip ko, tapos bigyan lumabas ba, they went there. Na, well, ito, sige, just premise din naman to nung sine. Itong si Max, played by J.M. Ibarra, talagang paniwalang-paniwala siya na anak siya ni Boy Kana. A mix between Ramon Revilla Sr.
Panday.
FPJ.
Panday ba si Ramon Revilla?
Hindi, si FPJ si Panday. Si
oo.
Agimat, si Pepeng Agimat si
Si Ramon
Revilla Sr. And may pagka-Dolphy din.
Ooh.
Yan. Yung so si Boy Kana, si Maximo, ano yun? Ano yung pangalan niya ni Bong Navarro?
MM Alam ko MM So parang very following Ramon Revilla.
Parang
no?
ganon, oo. Maximo Maniego Sr.
Diba? Just may senior pa.
Senior.
Ramon
Si
Revilla
Boy Kana.
Senior. Boy Kana,
So,
Boy Kana.
talagang parang, okay. Talagang, okay, sure. The premise has me hooked. And then we watched the film na with zero expectations. Yan yung nakakatawa dito kasi wala din tayong pinanood na trailers. Kahit ano lumabas yung trailers na wala tayong pinanood maski isa.
In fairness, ito lang yung taon na yun.
Oo.
No?
Tapos, nung nagsimula na yung sine, para akong, shit, I'm gonna love this movie. And I did. I really loved this movie.
Oh, tell me how much you liked it. Oh my God. As in, you were gushing over this film talaga.
This film had me smiling from start to end. Talaga. As in, nakakatuwa kasi it's this very endearing mix of a reverent love for the old Philippine cinema heyday na yung mga tipong talaga, yung mga puro mga Panday, puro mga Pepeng Agimat, yung ganung schlocky action fantasy na whether we liked it or not, kinalakihan nating lahat.
Grabe yung mga visual effects nun.
Talaga.
As in talagang it's of its time.
At saka yung and speaking of it was of its time, nakakatuwa kasi si Tim Ron Villanueva and his team, okay, they just made sure that everything that they did na related doon sa yung pag-emulate nila or pag-simulate nila nung output of the films from that era, it was as authentic as you can want it to be. I mean, hindi lang dahil dun sa yung parang yung blocking, yung pagkakashoot nila, pero pati yung may film grain na sobrang talagang parang gasgas yung film nung
yung mga sequences
na yon. Tapos kahit yung aspect ratio niya,
true,
na yung parang
I noticed that.
Yung yung parang 35 mm na sobrang nasa gitna ng screen yung nas gumagano umaalog-alog yung talagang nakakakiliti siya for somebody who I won't necessarily say na I idolized or parang may romantic nostalgic part of me that parang holds these films close to my heart kasi truth be told hindi naman, pero ang mas na-appreciate ko dito is how parang loving the tribute, how loving the parang even the send-ups, yung mga pag call out nung mga tropes of the time sa mga sine. It was so, it was fantastic. I had a great time watching this. Ikaw ba? Did you have as great a time as me watching Child 82, Anak ni Boy Ka Na?
Ako, I appreciated the creativity. Napaka out of the box nung nung mga medium na ginamit, especially in certain sequences that when you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Napaka-exciting niya. Hindi siya boring panoorin. Visually and as the story progresses, so hindi mo na alam kung saan pupunta. And the characters are also getting curiouser and curiouser. Meron akong naiisip na parang medyo kaparehas niya eh. Para siyang yung The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Na parang it's all happening inside JM's head. Parang the same way na nangyayari siya kapag ka mga intense moments ni Ben Stiller doon sa Walter Mitty. And gusto ko yung pagiging adventurous niya when it comes to presenting certain moments na I think reflects JM's state of mind or parang emotional state at the moment. Kasi every time na may nangyayari sa kanya, parang siyang nagbe-break from reality.
Oo. Pero hindi siya yung tipo ng break from reality na parang comes out of nowhere. Hindi yun yung pinaka-na-appreciate ko dito eh. It's very consistent with how we get to know Max's character, si JM. Yung pinaka-gusto ko din dito mga parts yung yung kausap niya, si Boy Ka Na. Si Vong Navarro. Kasi yun na nga, di ba, na he grows up thinking that Vong is his father, yung character ni Vong. And there are times na they'd have these conversations. And yun, isa pa yung pinakagusto ko doon na yung pag si JM, in the same scene na pag si JM Ibarra yung nagsasalita siya, yung normal sound design na yung kukunin na yung dialogue niya, etc. etc. Pero kapag si Vong, kapag si Boy Ka Na nagsasalita, parang dumadaan dun sa film soundtrack yung yung boses niya.
Yung meron siyang theme. Yung Boy Ka Na theme.
Hindi lang yun. Yung parang alam mo yung kung paano pakinggan yung dialogue from movies from like the 40s, 50s, 60s. Na yung habang sasalita yung parang may scratches naman.
May static.
May static, tapos
yung
may
mono
scratch.
Na,
yung parang gano'n. Parang siyang gano'n. Yun, mono din siya. Hindi siya stereo. Parang ganyan yung boses ni Boy Ka Na. And that's, ako sa akin, props dun sa sound design by Alex Tombok for, being able to pull that off. Kasi, personally, hindi ko gusto yung mga ibang nag-a-attempt ng ganitong klaseng parang style in filmmaking kasi ang magiging parang pitfall nila is they're not going to parang try and really emulate kung ano yung output of the films from that time period. I mean, the most basic example would be halimbawa yung pag may mga luma, may mga flashback. Lalagyan lang nila ng sepia, lalagyan nila ng filter na parang quote-unquote old film. Tapos yun na. Masaya sila doon. Dito, natutuwa ako na they really went above and beyond in making sure na every time there was a sequence that harkened back to the films of old, na yung mga parang Pepe Agimat, Panday, ganon, na talagang yung mga movie ni Boy Ka Na, parang it looked like that talaga.
I mean, a lot of research, I'm guessing, really went into conceptualizing the character of Boy Ka Na. Kasi kailangan, ayun na nga it's referencing very popular figures that we all know. So parang you have to be, you have to balance parang satirical take and also respect for these icons. Kasi syempre, celebrated iconic characters or pop culture icons of the Philippines. So, nakakatuwa kasi ni-reference nila yung even the meta side of these personalities. Na yun talaga din yung isa sa mga legends about them. And I'm happy na meron ng gumawa ng movie about doon.
Diba? Yung gano'n na yung, that's just, bring it out in the open. Sinasabi na yung urban legend na Ramon Revilla Sr. has hundreds of children.
Oh.
Diba? Na parang, oh my God. First off, wow. I mean,
impressive.
And second of all, na parang yun na nga, tama ka doon, parang how has that not been fodder for any sort of film or even a TV show dito sa Pilipinas? And I'm so glad na yun na nga, there is an element of parang both skewering that entire fact and also, I mean, being a bit respectful din naman. Hindi din naman siya yung out and out na parang talagang balasong
shaming them, hindi naman.
Yun, hindi siya ganun. And it's not about that. It's not about the person, the quote-unquote, the Ramon Revilla Sr. figure. Pero, on that note, mapunta naman tayo dun sa sa mga ating actors na we have on screen. Let's start with J.M. Ibarra.
I'm impressed.
I'm very, very impressed.
Ang galing niya. Alam mo, I only ever knew him as yung love team ni Fiang. And from
Okay.
PBB sila. Yeah. They're relatively new.
Yeah.
Oo, mga bata pa to eh. Ilang taon na ba yan? Ilang taon na siya?
Wala nakalagay. So, wala naman siyang Wikipedia.
Pero they're pretty new sa
I guess.
acting.
Oo.
And I'm very impressed on how he was able to carry this movie on his back.
Oo.
Siya talaga yung kahit na may mga ibang named actors or mga kilalang mga dramatic actors na kasama niya dito, he really held his own.
True. May kumpara ko lang siya kasi this other individual is like the closest we have as a comparison. Recently, pinanood natin yung Minamahal, starring another love team. And we
Ashdress,
extolled the virtues and the praises, sang the praises of one Ashtin Olviga.
Yes.
Na talagang doon sa Minamahal, sobrang she acted well beyond her years. Talaga to bring a very, multi-layered dramatic role. Dito naman sa Boy Ka Na, J.M. Ibarra was able to, flow from every kind of emotion that was asked of him.
Meron din siyang comedic timing.
Oo.
His drama chops is quite impressive for
Yes.
somebody who's new. Tapos yung relatability niya and yung the way he delivers lines is not really stilted.
Hindi.
So, overall, impressed ako.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive for what I would assume is one of his first few
Lead
roles. Oo. Ako, ang isang parang mabibigyan ko ng super props talaga dito. That's Bong Navarro.
Yeah, I mean,
Bong is
is in his element din
fantastic.
talaga.
Alam mo yung may habang pinapanood ko sa role niya, and I guess siguro dahil nga, Bong has reached that age na yung medyo elder statesman na siya, kumbaga, as an actor, as a comedian, parang itong role niya as si Boy Ka Na, might sound like high praise, okay? Take this with a grain of salt, everyone. Pero there were shades of parang Jim Carrey na yung pag hinahalo niya yung serious actor and comedian, may mga roles siyang
Oo
ganon.
nga, no?
Parang-
Actually, parang Ace Ventura, no?
Hindi man Ventura, more na para siyang, mas para niyang serious na roles na parang pinaghahalo niya. Yung parang Yes Man. Yung ganon. Yung parang, yung he's funny, pero you can also see some sort of depth behind the funny doon sa role niya dito sa Boy Ka Na. Kasi parang, yung pag kinakausap siya ni JM, as yung parang imagined father figure ni JM siya. Of course, yung conversations nila are just informed by, how JM or Max knows this person. And there are times na parang, he could have gotten, way over the top. Talagang parang being, a parody of the aforementioned legendary individuals. Pero hindi eh. Ako, parang he stopped short of parang parodying yun si Revilla, si FPJ, yung ganon. Yes, there are, parang images, mga photoshopped stuff na parang, mukhang ganon. May references to other people. Pero in terms of the acting, ako, props kay Vong. I mean, doesn't hurt na of the comedians from our generation. Siya talaga dun sa mga pinaka paborito ko. So, sabihin niyang bakya na akong bakya. Paborito ko si Vong Navarro.
Yeah.
Ikaw, what did you think of Rochelle Pangilinan Solinap's performance as Max's mom?
Okay naman. I think Rochelle has really quite improved on her dramatic chops. Especially kung lagi na siyang lumalabas sa mga teleserye sa GMA. Malayo na yung na-improve niya ever since 17 Days. Pero as the mom of JM here, ramdam mo yung talagang hinanakit niya comes from a real place.
Yes.
And yun she really just went all in dun sa emotional trauma nung nanay. And she really portrayed it well on screen. Kitang-kita ko yung pain, yung resentment, and yung, alam mo yung life is so unfair. Kitang-kita mo sa mukha niya, sa everything that she says is parang coming from that well of deeply hurt emotions. Yon.
So, siguro last na lang, mabanggit ko lang dito. Yung script ni Tim Villanueva and ni Herlin Alegre, I felt was, successful in mixing, of course, yung comedic stylings that we expect from a film that involves Vong Navarro alongside a tale of, a child, essentially a child, seeking a father figure.
And also coming to terms with the change in his life.
And also coming to terms with the realities of this figure na sobra niyang in-idealize sa sa utak niya, sa puso niya. And nakakatuwa kasi parang, yes, we're dealing with this child's journey, pero I appreciated it na parang it also had, commentaries about, how sobrang prevalent ng parang yung hero worship sa Pilipinas.
Especially sa mga celebrity.
Oo.
Grabe yung idolatry.
Idolatry na talaga.
Yes, oo.
Yes.
Talagang iba yung pagkahumaling ng mga tao sa mga idol nila dito sa Pilipinas. I mean, perfect example, si Ramon Revilla at saka si FPJ. Sila talaga na hanggang ngayon, parang Nora at Vilma yan. May mga club pa rin yan kahit wala na sila.
True. Ikaw, sige, we've been singing the praises of this film thus far. Ikaw, if there's anything that you think the movie could have improved on, what would it have been?
Siguro for me, kasi mas, I understand if the story is really about coming of age from a boy to a man. Yun yung kanyang talagang heart. Pero I just wish na merong mas universal resonance sa kahit sinong manonood, and not just, parang boy, parang trying to come to terms with his real father and who he really is as a son of this parang shadow of a legend. So para sa akin, it lacked a certain kind of relatability. Although I know that this is hyper realistic and surreal. Pero yun nga, yung parang the side about the mother, I hope na mas nagkaroon pa ng dimension yung character ni Rochelle and not just fueled with hate. Yung kanyang character, yung buong personality niya was all about that. And kahit yung ibang characters sa paligid ni I hope they were not just treated as parang plot devices or to further JM's characterization. Sana meron pang ibang nakatulong sa pag-come to terms ni Max dun sa pagkilala niya sa sarili niya.
So, I definitely see yung na yan, yung parang sana yun nga nagkaroon ng dimension pa. Yung si Rochelle. And maliban dun sa parang yung hero worship aspect of, the story. Tama yung personal journey. Sana mas parang makikita ng more people. Hindi lang yung a certain subsection of the audience, yung sarili nila sa character ni JM.
Exactly that.
Pero, with that being said, I had a lot of fun. I absolutely thought that this was a very well-made film. There is a bit at the start of the film na that will, just tickle you pink if, you love old classic Filipino films and yung how it's used, how it's placed in the film. Yun, medyo parang, wow, okay.
That was unique.
Doon ako medyo parang napa-sit up straight ako sa upuan ko, parang, wow, okay, we're in for a ride. Ay, nako. Anyway, sige, last, rating mo. Yun. By the way, we're gonna try to do something different. Usually, pa nadidinig yung mga rating namin is, United, isa na napag-usapan na namin kung yung magiging rating namin bago kami mag-record. Pero ito, we're going to deviate. Magkakaroon kami ng individual rating namin per film. So let's start. Boy ka na. What was your rating for this?
For me, it's a B.
A B. Mm-mm. Okay. Room for improvement. May mid-credit scene. So I hope na wherever that goes to, may improvement na mangyari. So sige, let's give it a room to improve. I'll give it a B+.
Okay.
Yan. Okay, so that's a B for Charity 2 from Ange, B+ from me. Let's now go over the next film for this episode, and that's Cinemartyrs. Recreating forgotten massacres from Philippine history, a young filmmaker begins shooting at a site where 1,000 men, women, and children were slaughtered. But the angry spirits are awakened and the lives of her team and the local villagers are put in peril. Yon. So that's Cinemartyrs. Let's start with you naman, Ange. What did you think of Cinemartyrs?
Okay, so Cinemartyrs. Very interesting premise. Actually, this is one of those films na it's about filmmaking and marami na tayong nakitang ganito sa Hollywood, uso to eh.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba? Laging about the behind the scenes, yung mga totoong demeanor ng mga artista behind the camera, ganyan, tapos yung mga creatives. Nagulat lang ako dun sa mga cameo, parang wow, it's who's who. And siguro ang first impression ko sa Cinemartyrs, hindi ko alam kung magiging version ba siya ng reality natin. Magiging parang docu ba siya? Kasi parang it's about history.
Mm-hmm.
So, are they like reenacting this yung massacre nga that what happened, or parang yung crew na nagpunta dun sa isang province na may namatay na sa site? Or is this a fictionalized version? Kasi parang fictionalized din yung dating sa akin ng mga artista and yung mga public figures eh. So medyo I struggle to find my footing kung ano ba siya, kung fantasy ba siya or parang a bit of reality or a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Ayun. So, hindi ko maano eh. Kasi kakaiba siya eh.
Actually, totoo. I guess one way to describe it, I don't know if this is what you meant, but it's very experimental.
Yes, yun.
And I mean, looking at the page of the film, doon sa Cinemalaya website, sinabi na yun sa director's statement na this was, set. The movie is set in the 90s to the early 2000s, and I quote, where experimental shorts and documentary films were still being shot on 16mm format. So, I would think na, I guess this also felt a bit autobiographical. Parang may ganun siyang element.
Yun eh, kasi hindi siya nag-start na parang we're following this singular protagonist. So, hindi natin alam kung sino ba yung bida natin dito? Yung mga artista, yung crew, ensemble, or yung yung director?
I mean, ano naman siya, parang, yung, sorry masabi ko lang, yung mga cameo dun parang medyo gratuitous.
Yun eh, medyo na-distract din ako dun eh.
Especially one specific cameo na parang, oh God, talaga ba? Akala ko nga yung cameo na yun would pull everything down, pero thankfully, I mean, enjoy. Sige, enjoy is not the word. I don't think you can use enjoy in this film. Parang siyang, this is a film that you feel. This is a film that you vibe with. Yun, hindi siya yung papanoorin mo. Wala siyang,
to be entertained, no.
Or parang may susundan kang kwento. Kasi essentially, what we're doing here is we're following a team of student filmmakers na parang nautusan sila ng isang grant committee na, oy, kulang pa yung sine nyo, dagdagan nyo pa, punta kayo dito. O, punta naman sila kasi hindi sila mababayaran ng grant nila pag hindi nila tinapos yung sine nila. Ngayon, pagdating nila dun sa kung nasan yung sine nila, hindi nila na-foresee na sobrang merong talagang unexplained mystical element doon sa lugar na yon.
Yeah. And also, in between din doon, sa mismong main narrative natin, may mga vignettes din na sumisingit. Na parang, it's about something unrelated to the story. So medyo nalilito ako na parang, wait, akala ko nandun tayo sa filmmaking team or sa docu team. Tapos parang may ibang kinukwento about history.
Yun din eh. And medyo madami siyang gustong sabihin. Yun, one, about history na parang may isang encounter sa Mindanao purportedly set or purportedly happened after the Philippine-American War. So parang isa siya sa mga forgotten na mga events in history.
Although yun yung nasa logline, pero it actually took a bit of time before we get there.
Yes.
Dun sa kwento na yun.
Oo.
Kasi meron pang parang subplot na pinresent nung umpisa na parang first third of the movie na parang hindi naman pala siya yung magiging kwento talaga.
Parang ang feeling ko kasi dun sa yung sinasabi, if I'm thinking about what you're also thinking of, feeling ko mas nagbabank on siya dun sa parang yung forgotten elements of history eh. Parang yun yung very tenuous link that all of the very, supposedly parang different story threads that City Martyrs has. Yun yung nagtatagpi-tagpi sa kanila. Very, very haphazardly. Yun.
Yeah. Kumbaga parang ikaw na bahalang mag-make sense and mag-connect nito. Pero
Yun.
I recognize the many messages it wants to tell.
Yes.
It wants to make a stand about the preservation of history and about women filmmakers na you may say na forgotten din sila. So I think the recurring theme is, forgotten histories and people.
True.
Pero meron din siyang parang isang stand na pero na-taken aback ako doon kasi parang biglang where did that come from? Nagulat ako doon. Yung to the very last scene, bigla siyang nilagay na parang wala akong anything na magkukluin na wait, yun pala yung stand niya.
Yun eh. Yan, katulad nung natin, yung pinoint out natin kanina na parang yung forgotten history is this very, very parang spiderweb thin like thread that's just holding everything together. And ang ganda na sinabi mo kanina na parang it's very accurate. The film just leaves you by yourself, your own devices na parang just make
Okay na
sense
to.
of it.
Kaya mo na yan, okay na yan.
parang ang downside lang dito sa scene na to, I mean, this is just me being honest. Parang this risks alienating a large majority of, film appreciators and, casual moviegoers. Kasi for the lack of a better term, when you watch a movie like this, parang siyang, wait lang, ako ba yung bobo? Parang, hindi ko ba naintindihan to?
Oo, meron siyang ganong quality. Pero
Yun eh.
kasi, alam mo parang this movie is targeted to a specific audience
I guess.
na talagang if you know your history and if you know filmmaking, yun lang yung parang Venn diagram na nag-shoot ka na para sa'yo tong scene na to. Pero if you're outside that Venn diagram, yun nga, it's too experimental, it's too abstract, and very, parang ang hirap niyang arukin para sa mga casual moviegoers. I mean, kung halimbawa, yung mga nanood ng Child Number 82, tapos biglang salpak mo sila sa Cine Martyrs, there would be a disconnect.
Actually, yun nangyari sa atin.
Kasi magkasunod natin
yung
pinanood.
magkasunod natin pinanood.
Pero hindi.
God, what happened?
Na-appreciate ko yung message niya about women filmmakers.
Yun. Ako, sana, doon na lang siya nag-focus.
Parang mga kwento ni Lucille Ball na secret producer pala siya, yung mga ganon.
Oo, or parang siguro at the very least, at least parang make it a parang concurrent thread that's, happening all throughout. Kasi nawawala yung parang ang dami nilang mga names na sinabi of, women directors, women writers that, parang help pave the way. Not just for, other women directors, but for directors in general sa Pilipinas.
True. Sana nag-focus. Yun yung sinabi ko sa'yo eh. Ang dami niyang message and I want to believe na nakuha naman natin yung mga messages na yon. Pero wala kasi siyang focus talaga. Parang binato niya lang lahat sa wall and just to see what sticks. Parang ganon. Meron din kasi siyang hindi ko pa nabanggit kanina. Meron din siyang stand about respecting the cultural heritage of the things or the history that you're portraying on screen or yung mga kino-cover mo.
Yun eh.
Diba?
And sorry parang yung ganong aspect.
Iba naman yun sa remembering history, di ba?
Oo, yun eh, masyadong inside baseball. Kumbaga na parang
Very jargon, no?
may mga ritual na ina-accomplish ang mga, hindi ko nga alam kung lahat ng filmmakers pero I mean, filmmakers of this ilk, of yung experimental na parang may mga ritual pa para bago mag-shoot successful. Mga gano'n na parang I appreciate being able to take a peek into, a certain subsection of society na I know I'm not familiar with. Pero there are times that this film, lost me because of how, quote-unquote, inside baseball siya. This is not a film for the general public. This is a film for filmmakers, specifically film students of the
film
UPFI.
history, oo.
Film historians, experimental filmmakers. You're gonna have a blast watching this. Pero, sorry, it's not for me.
Didn't speak to me either.
Yeah. Ikaw, ano rating mo dito?
For me, it's a B as well.
B. Give it a C+.
Actually, C+ pala kasi I enjoyed the Boy Ka Na. Mas nag-enjoy ako dun.
Yan, yeah. So, ito hindi ito pinag-usapan pero yeah, we come to that consensus na Cinemartyrs is a C+. Yes.
All right. So, let's now go over to the next film for this episode, which is Raging. A young man's quest for truth and justice intertwines with a plane crash mystery, uncovering a sinister plot that propels his desire to be heard but also threatens his community.
Okay.
Sobrang vague, no? Sobrang ambiguous nung logline, no? Parang wala ka talagang mapupulot. Okay, sige, mauna ka na. Ikaw na mauna dito. So, Roy, what did you think of Raging?
Natutuwa lang ako. Kasi ito, ma-point out ko lang muna. It's funny that, we have another Ryan Machado film in a Cinemalaya Film Festival released concurrently with another Dustin Celestino film.
Oo nga, no?
Released with another political documentary. Released concurrently with another LGBT romance film.
What year is it? Is it 2023?
2023 ba? Ito ba yung unang sinimulayan natin ulit? So, yung doon sa last na film festival, last sinimulayan na merong entry si Ryan Machado. He wrote and directed ang Huling Palabas.
Yeah, you can check out our episode.
Oo.
Pero kung mahabang scroll nga lang kasi unang taon pa namin yun ni-record.
Episode 11.
Wow, and
natin.
now we're episode 115.
Oo. Layo natin. Pero I wouldn't say I loved Huling Palabas. I appreciated how it was very, very, very proud of its beating heart of, parang just sweeping you up in the emotional story or yung emotional na parang journey nung bidang bata doon.
It was very earnest.
Yes.
I would describe it as a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve.
Yes, exactly.
And there's a certain sweetness to it na dun nanggagaling yung charm ng movie na yun.
That's right. Even if other people would feel parang off-put by how placid its pacing is. Although, it's, parang interesting to note na apparently, children these days are into slow cinema. So parang, okay, I mean, slow cinema it is for Ryan Machado. So, yung huling palabas.
Unang palabas.
Yung unang palabas niya, palabas.
Yun yung unang palabas, yung 11, episode 11. Ito na yung huli.
Yung huling palabas na movie. Didn't love it. I liked it a bit, but overall, there was a feeling of appreciation from me for it. I think binigyan natin siya ng B+ doon.
Oo.
Ganon.
Partly dahil bago pa lang tayo unang taon natin. Ay, hindi, wala pa tayong rating system noon.
Wala pa ba?
At the time.
Nag-ano lang tayo. Nag-review lang tayo.
Oo.
Okay. Dito naman, sa Raging, bumalik tayo doon sa sinasabi nating slow cinema. Okay? Na para siyang en vogue. It's the parang filmmaking genre du jour of the Filipino film intelligentsia / illustrados, whatever, ganon. Yun ang ano ngayon, parang in thing.
Nakatitig lang sa foliage, ganon.
Oo.
Nakababad lang for 10 minutes sa isang eksena.
True. Parang yun natang in thing sa mga film students ng Big Four. Gusto nilang gumawa ng mga sining nakatitig sa halaman ng 10 minuto at meron silang madederive na kwento out of it. God knows how they do that.
Wow, sana all.
Exactly. Kaya nga sobrang hibang na hibang ang mga bata kay Magellan ngayon for some reason. I'm sorry, but I also felt the same way about Raging. I tried so hard to parang
And got so far.
hindi nga eh. I tried so hard to parang have a push and pull na parang am I just, is this just my tastes clashing with, how this film is trying to meet me halfway. Kasi on one end, I see na kung bakit ganun ka obtuse yung sining to. It's parang a very deliberate way of making you feel how the protagonist feels.
Ganon? So parang a lot of empty emotions and thoughts?
Hindi naman empty emotions. More na para siyang, kasi there's something that happens here, hindi ko na natin i-reveal.
Hindi ko nga din alam hindi nga din siya na-reveal sa akin kaagad.
Hindi ko masasabi na maganda siya. Because I'm sorry, I didn't like it. Pero the important parang inciting incident sa character ni Elijah gets revealed, in my opinion, way too late.
Much later than what you'd expect para to get into his character.
Yes. Pero I felt that there was an intentionality in the filmmaking na kung gaano siya parang katrap doon sa kanyang emotions, sa kanyang in his head because of the trauma that he experienced based on that event, na parang ganun yung tinatranslate, I think, ni Ryan doon sa parang filmmaking style niya.
So dahil hindi ma-express ni Elijah, hindi rin ma-express nung movie sa atin.
Yun ang basa ko. I don't agree with it, but I think that's what it's trying to do.
Pero, nagigets ko yung ganyang style. Pero kasi, you have to at least give the audience something to peel na layers.
True.
Kasi, parang we are being kept in the dark. Kung ano ba talaga yung nangyayari sa kanya, kung ano ba yung iniisip niya, ano ba yung pinagdaanan niya. And, bakit ba natin siya sinusundan na sa character? Kasi parang it kinda lost me in the middle kasi nga wala akong alam sa kanya eh. I have to know at least something, at least one thing, or kahit na hindi siya magsalita, at least with the characters around him, or kung meron mang hidden subliminal message dun sa mga dahon or dun sa tunnel, parang at least give me something I can work with.
Exactly.
Ganon.
I mean, even dun sa lagay na may plane crash mystery, it doesn't factor in at all.
It didn't go anywhere. Parang, it can be a metaphor. Pero metaphor for what? Kasi you have to still give us crumbs.
At saka yung ginamit yung imagery ng plane is way too late in the ball game, so to speak, for it to make sense. Thematically and plot-wise, kumbaga. Yun yung masasabi nila. Everything that is supposed to be provided to an audience, maasabi ko lang hindi spoon-feeding. Basic plot morsels are given to us as the film ends.
as the film goes on, wag naman yung nasa dulo na lang, di ba?
Yon.
Kasi, parang I feel so cheated or I feel so dumb for not getting what's really going on. Alam mo yon, parang, wait lang, nawawala ako. Parang ako naliligaw.
Is there, sorry I just have to say this out loud because, we're all stakeholders, so to speak, in this big ecosystem that is, cinema. Sabihin specifically Philippine cinema. Do filmmakers like, ito, kung paano ginawa itong Raging, sabihin na natin, Lav Diaz, yung santong patron ng mga gantong sine, do they take pleasure in making a chunk of their audience feel dumb? Alienating them.
Or baffling us na tayo na bahalang maghanap ng story na gusto nating makita doon.
Pero, I mean, baffling siguro is a good word, pero mas more siya na para siyang yung tama sa mga alienating Na para siyang talagang, do I need an advanced master's degree in film studies to understand this? Parang,
alam mo yun, parang after mong manood, na parang pang matalino kasi to parang ganun yung biglang sasabihin sa akin, na kapag nagtatanong ako na, wait lang, ano ba yung kwento talaga? Parang, okay, nireveal siya sa pinakadulo, pero ano namang gagawin ko in the meantime habang hindi pa nire-reveal yun, wala namang something na sinasabi or pinapakita sa akin para magkwento. Kwento 'di ba? It's really storytelling.
Yes.
Yun yung nawawala dito sa kwento, sa movie na to. Malaking issue sa akin talaga is yung pinaparamdam sa'yo na you should be reading something from like tea leaves, ganun. It's such a mystery or parang, alam mo yun, nakaka-alienate talaga. Feeling ko talaga that the movie is not trying to meet me halfway here.
Pinag-usapan nila dito after watching this. Fortuitous na ito yung nagkasabay doon sa randomizer natin, itong Cinemartyrs tsaka itong Raging. We pointed it out na parang thanks to, the proliferation of film festivals like this, there has been a rise in the quote-unquote talkback session. Na parang laging may pwedeng tanungin yung director about the film. Usually, ginagamit siya ng mga pretentious people to promote their views and, themselves. Pero, that's a topic for another day. Pero
Yes. I'm so glad you raised that. Kasi ako, as a viewer, gusto kong nauupo or nilalagay ko yung sarili ko sa position ng isang average cinema goer. Ayoko yung parang may privilege na kailangan maka-attend ka ng talkback or ng ganon, ng press con para maintindihan mo and para mai-explain sa'yo, kumbaga, imamansplain sa akin kung ano yung mga hindi ko naintindihan. O bakit hindi mo naintindihan, ganito kasi yan. Parang ganon. Or parang, I don't want to hear the filmmaker, the writer, or the director explaining themselves because their movie should stand on its own without explanation and without parang term paper or parang a thesis to be presented to me.
Yes. Sabi nga ni Walter White, you're goddamn right. Hindi pwedeng, a talkback can be a venue, I guess, siguro in a perfect world, na if there is something that I need clarification with, maybe I hope to, speak to the filmmaker face to face about it. Parang, this is how I understood it. I would like to hear your thoughts about what I understood. How I understood it. Hindi yung parang, ano pong ibig sabihin nyo doon sa ganun? Parang, no, the film should stand on its own. I don't need the filmmaker to explain it to me. Okay? Ngayon, hindi kababawan ng filmmaking, hindi ikababawas ng pagiging filmmaker yung maglalagay ka ng mga elements of film that, will make sense to the general public. This is an open film festival. If you wanted to create films like this, now, sorry masturbatory in nature, then you could have just shown it to those people na parehas kayo ng hulma, ng pag-iisip, at kayo nakakaintindi. Pero yung mga sine na to,
exclusivity
yun.
No?
At yun na nga
parang Cinemartyrs, ganun
yung
din.
Cinemartyrs was very, very, very close to falling into that. Buti na lang, meron siyang morsel of a plot na nasusunod natin yung character.
At least may kwento yun.
May kwento siya. Pero yun na nga, sobrang it almost fell into the very, very deep hole that Raging is already in alongside Magellan.
Alam mo, nasasayangan ako kay Elijah.
Yun pa na parang...
Alam mo, naalala ko tuloy yung movie ni Charlie Day. Yung dinirect niya na his strength, Charlie Day's strength as an actor is his voice.
Yes.
Gumawa siya ng movie na hindi siya nagsasalita. So parang, why did you bite yourself in the ass?
Yung Fool's Paradise yun, no?
Oo. So parang, why would you take away your greatest strengths? And para sa akin si Elijah, alam ko na mata-mata acting, no acting, sanay siya sa ganon. Magaling siya talaga sa ganon. Pero, ang galing niya ding dramatic actor eh. I mean, you can make him do anything and he's gonna run with it. Alam mo yun? Parang, para sa akin, napaka underutilized is an understatement.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there are, creatives that take advantage of, actors na ganun ng parang talagang magaling sa drama and, try to hulma them in their vision, in their image.
Pero in a way, can you also say na this is also an experimental film?
Sure.
I mean, nauuso siya, no?
Sus.
Pero ako, personally, I wouldn't want to speak for everybody else. Kung experimental film enjoyers kayo, then go ahead, enjoy. Pero ako kasi, gusto ko ang movie, dinadala ako sa isang kwento. Alam mo yon, meron siyang rising action, meron siyang yon, basta may something that would carry me.
Yes.
Ganon. And itong Raging, parang just hinayaan na lang akong matulog.
Parang siyang, sige, yan, go.
Parang, yeah,
Parang
make sense of that.
Did I need a semester's worth of stuff to learn first before watching this?
It's very for the film
Yes,
students
for
and the film.
Big Four film students. Have fun. Ay, nako. See, para sa akin, Raging.
Yeah, same. See then.
Nako. Anyway, mapunta naman tayo sa isang medyo, let's end this episode on a positive note. Let's talk about the last film for this episode, Habang Nilalamon ng Hydra ang Kasaysayan. Four Filipinos confront the slow erasure of memory and truth in a country devoured by disinformation. Yan. So, yun nga, sasabi natin na it's 2023 all over again. Kasi may sini na naman si Dustin, may sini si Ryan, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yan. Pag-usapan na natin itong Hydra. What did you think of Habang Nilalamon ng Hydra ang Kasaysayan?
Actually, ito yung pinakauna nating pinanood this year.
Yes.
And yun nga, parang rin siya, katulad din siya nung 2023.
Ay, shucks
diba?
no? Siya din yung
Parang,
pinakauna. Si Dustin din yung nag-una.
Deja vu. Ano yun? Duyan ng Magiting.
Duyan ng Magiting.
Yun yung una natin for 2023. And itong Habang Nilalamon ng Hydra ang Kasaysayan, it did right. Yung memory and historical preservation the right way. It did it right. Ito
How
talaga
so?
yung pinaka magandang depiction on how we as people remember or forget history.
Okay.
So ang ganda na ginamit niya talaga yung Greek history or Greek mythology, para i-depict or i-explain ng maigi in parang very clear metaphors na maintindihan ng lahat.
Okay.
Kasi yung Hydra is a mythological creature na kapag pinutol mo yung, marami siyang ulo. And kapag pinutol mo yung isang ulo, dalawa ulit yung tutubo. So parang ganon, yung struggle of finding the truth and telling the truth and preserving the truth in this country.
Yes.
And yun yung pinaka, kumbaga, thesis statement nitong movie na to eh. It's really about, what's the truth for you?
True. I mean, especially given, how we live in the era of, naalala niyo pa ba yung alternative facts? Tsaka yung fake news, yung mga ganon. Mga nauso over the past, 10 years? Yung
yes.
ganon.
Yung merong my truth and your truth.
Yan. Oh, God. Let's go. Anyway, pero yung isang pinaka na-appreciate ko. Yung ganda nung yung sabi mo, yung it used, the imagery of Greek mythology. Nung may nagtanong about it doon sa screening na we were invited to watch it ahead of time. Ang sabi ni Dustin na parang he wanted to use, Greek mythology as a parang storytelling pillar. Kasi he believed na, Greek mythology is a universal parang story. Na parang kapag ginamit daw yung local na mga Filipino na mga tawag dito?
Mythological features.
Figures, hindi akma doon sa story na gusto niya ikwento.
Or hindi makaka-relate yung lahat. Kasi
Yes.
hindi naman lahat alam yung local folklore natin.
That's true. Ang masabi ko lang dito, and I think this is parang, the most important thing that this film did, in my opinion, is whereas doon sa Duyan ng Magiting, we were in a very different time back then.
And emotional state.
Et cetera. And given na yung na-reveal pala na the story of Duyan was created back in 2019, sabi din niya. Na ramdam mo yung fury and yung talagang
intensity.
I think I'm gonna repeat myself, pero yung unbridled rage against the machine.
So mas yung raging.
Talaga. Ayun, yeah. Kung dapat may pangalan na raging, mas dapat yun. Yung
Duyan na Magiting. Yeah.
Oo. Pero doon sa Duyan raging tuloy. Yung doon sa Duyan na Magiting, doon mo makikita na parang this was written from a place of hurt. Based on what was happening around the country, sa society natin, because of very very fucked up people. Ngayon we had to endure more bruising events as a society since then, none more so than the 2022 elections. Yun sobrang talagang families, friendships were broken.
Grabe yun.
Talagang talagang nag-disconnectan.
It divided the nation. It divided families and
Yes.
friendships talaga.
That's true. And we try as much as possible to keep things apolitical. So we're going to comment it based on where the film wants to meet us halfway. Sige. We have Jojit Lorenzo here as a campaign comms manager, director, for standing for a very, very obvious analog of a candidate.
But it's pure coincidence.
It's work of fiction. Coincidence
Purely
lang siya.
coincidental.
Sure. Pero yun kilala mo na kung sino
Yeah.
You know what?
It's very obvious.
You know which side he's on. And we have Dali De Leon playing his wife, a professor of a university na is also in a very, very sure side. Alam mo kung saan side siya.
Yes.
And then we also have si Sanjo Marudo na friend ba? Friend. Sabi ko sa acquaintance pero friend.
Hindi, katrabaho. Kasi
Katrabaho.
di ba siya yung speechwriter?
Speechwriter dun sa campaign nung yung kandidatong yun. So friend siya ni Jojit. And
Dali.
And then eventually we meet Mylene Dizon, who has a connection to a person or an individual na medyo
It's not in the right side of history.
yes.
Let's
thank
just say
you.
that.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. If the film had continued on the intense raging emotions of anger from his
Duyan.
previous from Duyan, this film would have been a very, very different film. Pero I loved it na this film preached level-headedness.
Yes. Alam mo, I
Yun.
really identified with Jojit's character. Alam mo, yun nga parang itong ang apat na to is the whole political spectrum
Yun.
no aftermath ng 2022 election.
Yes.
Kasi you will find yourself somewhere there between the four
Four of them,
characters.
yes.
And ako, nandun ako kay Jojit. And it's funny though, na si Jojit, nandun din siya sa Duyan. And he's
Yes.
one of the angriest characters there.
He was the angriest character there.
So parang
Oo.
Jojit verse ba to?
Sana may trilogy.
Trilogy, no?
Jojit pa isa pa. Oh
Jojit's 5 stages of grief.
my God.
Hindi. Yon, I identified with Jojit's character so much. Yung weariness and yung, alam mo yon na parang, what are we doing this for anymore? Parang questioning why you even did everything in the first place. And nandun na siya sa parang malapit na siyang maging jaded and disillusioned.
True.
And I know a lot of people, nakatulad ni Dali, na sobrang, I found myself in Dali's character at one point.
Same.
'Di ba?
Lalo
Lalo na dun sa first part ng movie.
Oo.
Yung pinaka
Fresh pa.
aftermath, yung
Oo.
immediately after the results.
Yes.
'Di ba? Especially kung part ka nung side na yon of the political spectrum, you will relate.
That's true.
Pero I love na hindi siya nagbabad doon. And it's not that movie na magpipiti party tayo and mag-iiyakan tayo about that. And also, I love that this movie called out yung part na yon na a lot of people parang namatayan 'di ba?
That's true.
Parang sobrang gumuho yung mundo and it's funny to see it on screen. Yun lang.
Napaka parang nakaka parang may hanap akong term yung para siyang it's unnerving. Yan, it's unnerving to see, ayoko sabihin exactly kung nasan yung emotional and parang mental space mo at a certain period in time, almost be portrayed accurately. Pero yun yung tumatakbo sa isip ko habang pinapanood ko siya. Kaya nga, sobrang nakaka-comfort knowing na itong Hydra didn't espouse, as you said, continuously throwing a pity party, but rather finding the hope in the quote-unquote loss of a candidate. Na parang, even then nga it tries its best, the script tries its best to parang do away with hero worship as well.
Which I really appreciate.
Oo.
Alam mo, yung 2022 election was really about personality politics.
Oo.
And minsan kasi kahit na, both sides, pinaniniwalaan nila na yung taong sinusundan nila, yun yung tama
Oo.
para sa posisyon.
That's true.
And alam mo yun, parang yun na yung paulit-ulit How are we different from each other?
That's true.
If we also idolize the person and idealize them and parang inanoint na nasa pedestal na, di ba?
And ito yung pinaka isang scene. If there's just one part of this film that you're able to see, in whatever universe na isang scene Pero may isang part dito na talagang without spoiling it too much, it basically says na parang we meaning yung side ni Jojit at ni Dali, we say na we're the good ones. And yet, we vilify and demonize and dehumanize the other side. Parang, how different are we from them? If we also say, if we think na parang, ito, mga demonyo yung mga yan, mga animal, mga monster yung mga yan.
8080.
Oo, mga ganon. Pero dito, parang, akala ko ba tayo yung mabait? Pero bakit we're no different. Yan, from them. I love that it had the balls to call out people who obviously in one side of the political spectrum na talagang, hey,
you become toxic.
yes.
Why have you become the evil that we deplored?
Oo.
Diba? Ito yung pinaka gusto ko dito sa movie na to. It's just so pragmatic
Mm.
in a way na kung paano niya hinold up yung mirror
Yes.
doon sa mga doon sa mga, let's just say it, sa mga camping.
Oo.
Kasi ayun na nga it's becoming mudslinging, name calling, and 'di ba sinabi niyo tayo yung mababae?
And may isa pa, I mean, yung tipong parang superiority complex.
Yeah.
Na parang the reason why this country is in the shit it's in is because, bobo kayo, mga botante kayo.
Bobotante
Oo,
yung
na
ganung
parang,
narrative.
Why do we have to perpetuate that? Why can't we just look at each other as countrymen? Pilipino tayong lahat. And I love that that's what the message of the film is. Na parang if we look at each other with hope and with goodness, na parang we can slowly, hopefully, undo the very, very destructive and divisive result. Hindi yung sinasabing resulta meaning election result, pero yung resulta na parang, lives were broken, families were broken, friendships were broken.
I
Yun
love
eh.
na it really addresses, the us versus them notion.
Oo.
Na parang enough of this.
True.
'Di ba? Kasi we're all Filipinos. Kung mag-succeed or mag-fail yung bansa natin, tayo lahat ng magsasuffer nun or mag-e-enjoy nun, 'di ba? And let's not keep on, banking our future on just one person or one personality or
on a
one
candidate.
politician.
Oo. Hindi
Kasi it's more than that. It's really beyond that. And that's what I also learned.
True.
'Di ba? Medyo ballsy yung ginawa ni Dustin dito kasi
Oo.
yun nga in-address niya din dito na kahampings can turn on each other kapag hindi na nagfi-fit yung narrative na gusto nilang marinig. Kasi yun
yung
nga din yung
kay Zanjo
yun
naman.
yung yun yung din isa sa mga issues ko about that political base is napaka echo chamber.
Yeah.
And sobrang they're living inside the bubble na parang holier than thou yung pagiging part of that group.
Oo. I mean, it's funny because they follow the candidate that purported to be parang let's, love our neighbors, let's help the poor. Di ba nga, angat buhay, di ba? Sino mag-aangat nun? Yung mga part ng organization na yon para makatulong sa iba. Pero parang bakit yung mga tao doon sa, ayoko sabihin yun doon sa organization yan, that's parang allegedly, pero yung the people who purport to be supporters of that, parang sila pa yung pinakaunang magiging holier than thou, sila pa yung unang magiging parang I'm better than you, why are you there, kaya kayo ganyan kasi
or deserve nyo yan,
deserve nyo yan,
ganun.
parang talaga ba?
Sorry. Parang hindi ba yata tayo nakaka-move on dun sa duyan?
Hindi, pero
nasa anger pa rin tayo.
Pero yun nga kaya nga sobrang this film, itong Hydra, is like a balm, a soothing balm over either you still being so up in arms about not quote-unquote winning the last election, or parang if you're so very jaded about the other people that you supposedly parang went to battle with kasi they've lost sight of the plot. Parang itong this film tries its best to parang get everybody on the same page. And hindi lang yun. Pinaka magandang ginawa ni Dustin dito was writing the character of Mylene Dizon.
Yon, siya yung favorite kong character
Ako
actually.
din, pinaka-favorite ko siyang character dito. Kasi, obviously, kung saang side siya of the spectrum naka-pirme.
Other side,
At least
basically.
yung siya as in her, yung where her familial allegiances quote-unquote lie. Pero, I absolutely parang appreciated that this film took the time to not really become, an apologist for people like that. Pero, tinipick niya na these people are people too. They don't need pity. They don't need mercy. Pero, you can give them understanding because there are people who are also reckoning with the fact that they may be on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
Yun yung siguro isa pa din na parang na-lose sight ng quote-unquote good side na parang people can change.
And hindi pwedeng extremes ka.
Yes.
'Di ba? Life is not black and white. Things are not black and white.
Yes.
There is a gray area.
As much as, college life will make you and teach you quote-unquote na parang hindi,
Good
ganito
versus
ka,
bad.
good versus evil.
Jedi versus Sith.
Oo, no.
Yan.
When you get to adulthood, when you get to real fucking life, that notion will slowly and, destructively crumble before your eyes.
And I hate na yung 2022 election became that parang absolutes eh.
Oo.
It's about us versus them, good versus evil, 'di ba? Ganun
Yes.
yung naging narrative eh. And we need to, come into terms with that if we want to change that.
If we want to have a better future.
Oo. Kasi, yun nga eh, yung character ni Mylene talaga yung nagpakita na, you can't look at people like they're just evil. Sometimes, there's more to it. Parang, sometimes they are born in that, with bearing that name, di ba? And, do you think they chose that?
Yun na nga eh.
So parang because of the name, parang ganun eh, nagkakaroon na ng prejudice, nagkakaroon na ng judgment. Parang ikaw din eh, parang nakikita mo na rin kung gaano ka short-sighted.
True.
Especially dun sa character ni Dolly.
Yes.
I know na there are people coming from different views and different perspectives, especially if it involves trauma.
Mhm.
Pero kanya-kanyang trauma lahat eh, ng tao eh. So parang in a way, we may hate it, yung my version of my truth and your version of the truth. Pero when it comes to that, totoo yun eh. Your traumas affect your truth. 'Di ba? It influences what truth is for you.
Pero
And
sana,
your experiences and your background, your family, your class, and your education, it all influences what truth is for you.
pero ito lang din eh, ang sana parang lagyan na tayo, yung live podcast tayo.
Oo nga
bigla.
eh,
I
kasi
didn't expect this talaga. Pero ito na lang, sige, before we give our rating, sana ang maintindihan or ang maging parang outcome, from people watching this is that, yan, sinasabi mo, na parang, life isn't black and white. Another thing I would like to add there is, sige, you have your trauma and iba-iba tayo ng sugat. Iba-iba tayo ng lalim ng sugat. Walang nag-i-invalidate ng sugat nyo. Pero hindi dahil dumudugo pa yung sugat mo, sasabihin mo na yung sugat mo lang ang pinaka-importante sa buong mundo. Yun. Ang
dapat
dami-dami.
mag-bleed pa rin yung ibang tao because you're still bleeding.
Yun. And parang because you're hurting, the pain of other people, no matter whether it's very similar in a way, different, whatever, sa pain mo, dahil hindi siya yung pain mo, napaka-selfish ng tingin, napaka-narcissistic ng tingin mo, ikaw lang yung tama, ikaw lang dapat yung masaktan, ikaw lang dapat yung tama. Hindi eh. I love it na this is a very level-headed look at how fucked up our world has become because of, personality politics.
Pero ito, babalik lang tayo sa movie saglit. I wanna talk about that dinner.
Oh my God, one of the best scenes of this year's festival.
Not just this year. Para sa akin, one of the best scenes in Philippine cinema.
Ooh.
For me. Napakaganda. Ang galing nung writing, ang galing nung performances, ang galing nung acting,
Kahit yung camera, no?
ang galing nung, the way it was shot.
Yes.
The tension of that
Exquisite.
sequence.
Tension.
Grabe talaga yon. As in talagang, needless to say, so far sa usapan natin, this movie made us feel things again, katulad ng Duyan. Pero this time, parang it's a more grown-up, mature way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Pero this dinner scene alone made me feel things talaga na sobrang I was gasping for air. Parang feeling ko hindi ako makahinga at the same time, oh my God, what's gonna happen?
True. Yan eh, sabi mo kanina parang this movie is a litmus test. Litmus test. Kumbaga, parang siyang Rorschach test din. Ito, na parang kung paano mo titignan yung mga characters dito, how you identify with them. Just hope na parang, you look at it from a pragmatic level. People who will watch this, or if you've already watched it, I hope you did. And, hindi kayo nag-fixate dun sa isang parang, hindi, ito ako, yun ako. Hindi.
Mm-mm.
Think. Biniyayaan tayo ng Diyos ng critical thinking skills. Huwag nating sayangin just because, we're fans of a certain politician, huwag natin gawing fandom ang politika. Yon. Let's be people who use their brains and use their common sense. And Hydra restored my faith in, film being able to have a message na parang talaga, hey, let's, wake up from this, whatever this crap we're in collectively. I hope this film gets seen by so much more people. Talaga.
And it is, I think, isa siya sa mga pinipilahan. Oo, ang dami
That's
nating
true.
mga nakakasabay na nanonood nitong Hydra.
Hydra. Yeah. Ikaw, anong rating mo dito?
For me, it's an A.
Hindi po namin ito pinag-usapan. Parehas tayo. A, talaga. I can't wait to see what, Dustin does next.
Actually,
2 for 2.
If our listeners would want spoiler discussion of this movie, mas gusto ko siyang
Yun.
pag-usapan as a movie muna kasi parang ang pinag-usapan na, parang nag-therapize tayo this time eh.
Pero
Parang
siguro yun.
it's all about kung how, yung mga emotions natin na matagal na nating kinikim biglang lumabas. Pero in a way
True.
ganun talaga yung effect niya eh. Kasi ang dami rin nating mga nakausap na fellow film reviewers na talagang needless to say naman na yung masterful technicals and yung script, grabe yung script, sobrang ganda ng pagkakasulat ng screenplay talaga, as in no notes, wala akong masasabi. Yung parang confrontation style, yun talaga yung signature ni Dustin, kahit dun sa Duyan ng Magiting na two characters with differing opinions na nagka-clash. And ito pa, masasabi ko lang, sobrang ganda ng mga camera shots nitong Hydra. As in, ang ganda ng visual effects nung mga Greek sequences. Sobrang surreal.
Gabing napaka provocative. Grabe. Talaga. Super.
Mas mas nag-explore siya ng mga ganon. It didn't feel, sabi kasi natin sa Duyan, parang it felt like we were watching a stage play.
Yes.
Kasi one act, tapos 2 character, and then blocking. Parang nanonood ng stage talaga. Pero this time around, mas creative yung pag-shoot niya ng mga scenes.
That's true.
Ang ganda nung scenes dun sa sa restaurant.
And that's the cinematography of Cara Moreno, one of our favorite cinematographers locally. No notes. A. For habang nilalamon ng Hydra ang kasaysayan. Yeah. Tama ka nga sabi mo, no? Grabe na tayo. Nag-therapize tayo sa last one. And that's what great film does. It makes you feel things. It makes you parang look at yourself. Pero hindi naman yun to the point na parang dapat sobrang obtuse and sobrang blank nung scene na parang, what am I looking at? Hindi, ganito. You hold it up as a mirror to our experiences. Kind of like what Hydra did.
Yes.
Yan. So that's it for part 1 of our series talking about the films, feature-length films, in the 2025 Cinemalaya Film Festival. If you've seen any of the films or all 4, if you've seen them, please share with us what you thought about them. Comment section is open. Tell us about, how you disagreed with us, how you hate us now. Base sa sinabi namin dun sa comments nung post na to. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to makipagbayad-taktakan. Sige, kung magiging kayo, ayaw nyo kami. Well, okay, magtataka kung
trauma dumping.
Medyo we'll put our dukes up then in return. Joke lang. Yan.
And don't forget, of course, to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cinegeek conversations. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you had fun or learned something new during this episode.
And as always, studio, the distributor, and the film festival organizers were not given any creative control or editorial approval of this episode. They are hearing our review for the first time, same as you are.
For my co-host Troy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the Cinegeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.